The show, Minnesota. Okay, What are your thoughts on this Minnesota game?
Well, I tell you what, I watched Minnesota a couple weeks ago play Michigan State.
Right.
And I said to myself, oh dear, I was concerned. They had lost their top receiver,
No gimmies in the Big Ten,
Eric Decker, and I thought, frankly, they had played their best game of the season. They beat Michigan State by double digits, very solidly.
Right.
And, here it was the week after we had struggled so much with Michigan State. In fact, in that game, Minnesota, it was like, I believe they had the most penalties in the history of Big Ten football in that game.
I think I saw that, yeah.
They set a record for penalties. It was the sloppiest, ridiculous game. But they still won by double digits. So they've got some talented players. They're not bad.
No gimmies in the Big Ten this year.
I will say we beat them 55-0 last year, which I still find almost amazing that happened. And I believe we're playing for a BCS game.
I think we can be too. We need to make a statement to the BCS, and we need to. The thing about Minnesota is that you got to remember is they've got nothing to lose. Anytime you got a team that's got nothing to lose and everything to gain, that's a dangerous situation.
Absolutely,
to be in.
it's. I equate it to a few years back. I remember that horrible Western Michigan game. That year, all the fans, we were all saying, well, let's at least we'll beat Western Michigan and then we'll go to a bowl game.
Right.
Well, now it's on a whole higher level. Whereas, we'll beat Minnesota and we can still get in the BCS.
Absolutely.
Now, this is a different football team.
This is a different football team. And
this team is tough and this team has better leadership.
There are parallels, you're right.
But I've sat at Kinnick Stadium enough this season and had to feel these terrible, anxiety attacks when
I think somebody's going to come up to me after this season and first of all, they're not going to recognize me, and second of all, they're going to be like, Al, the gray hair and the bald spot, what's going on, man? Are you sick or something? I'm going to be like, I'm not sick. I'm a Hawkeye fan during the 2009-2010 season, and I think I've lost about 10 years in the past 9 weeks.
I think our friend Tim on the phone hit on a true key to that game, and that is that offensive line played awesome against Ohio State. We ran the football fairly effectively, which no one else had done.
The offensive line inspired me with the confidence that I have yet to feel from them this season. I mean, I have yet to feel as comfortable with that offensive line as I did during the Ohio State game. It's when they really stepped up. And I'd just like to say one other thing, and that is, once again, the defense did what I like to call cracking the code. I mean, they really, again, they come out. I mean, that defense, they come out, and then it's like they hone in on the opponent, and they turn out the lights, and I think they did that. I think they did that once again, and they have done that every game. There's no reason why they can't keep doing that. They have just done a masterful job, in my opinion. But yeah, you were saying about Vandenberg.
Vandenberg at times had a great pocket to pass in. He had time. I think we picked up the blitzes pretty well. I don't remember. I was afraid that he was just going to be running for his life, and he was going to be under so much pressure that we just here they were coming, and he was going. That really didn't happen very much. We picked up their blitzes.
You're absolutely right. We did.
And my goodness, that kid played a great game. 19 years old. I think back to when I was 19 years old. Okay,
yeah.
I was at a very different place in my life.
I was having trouble washing on a regular basis.
Exactly.
Body, keep it clean.
I think back to our apartment and the way that it looked back then.
I can remember the smell of the apartment.
We
for sure.
were not. I wasn't in a place where I could have had that much composure. It is amazing.
Well, not only that, but I'll tell you, there's something that kind of bugged me. The guy in the Gazette, he had a prediction 24-3 Ohio State for that game. The next day he came out and he said, what a great performance by Vandenberg and amid all the outside doubters. And I was like, hello, inside doubters.
Right.
This kid had, to overcome what he overcame was amazing.
Yeah, my wife noticed.
Very, very heartening.
My wife noticed in the press citizen, they have their little panel of sports writers that picks the games.
The experts.
My wife noticed that not one of them picked our hometown Hawks, and that to me is an
That's gross. They did the same thing in the Gazette. Actually, a couple in the Gazette.
Can't you at least have one guy that picks?
Well, not only that, but I'm saying 24-3. Let's say, if you're going to do it, let's say 24-21 or something like that. Which would have been a lot more accurate for one thing. But at the same time, it's like, I think what it betrays is there is a certain Hawk fan animal that is very ready and willing to drop the team at the first sign of trouble and run for the hills, screaming.
We battled.
We have to remain we have to remain optimistic. We have to remain behind them, especially going into this basketball season. Because let me tell you, the boys are going to need us more than ever, I think, this year. And you know what? This is like the bad news bears, as far as I'm concerned. How could you not get behind this Hawk team? And really, I mean, we have something special, I think, starting here in the basketball team. Well, I'd like to say before I let you take over here, buddy, that next week what we're going to do is we're going to have a breakdown of the Big Ten season and the Iowa Hawkeye basketball season, the pre-Big Ten season. We'll have a little breakdown of that, and we'll kind of dedicate our show to what we need to do into that. I think that'd be a fun show. What do you think, John?
Sure.
Anyway, back to Minnesota, or what were you
Well,
going to say?
real quick with the basketball team.
Sure.
Notice I got to go to the game yesterday, and on the positive side, the guys look physically stronger. You can see that they've hired a strength and conditioning coach for basketball now. You can see that it's making a difference. We look physically stronger, but you're right. They're a bunch of freshmen and sophomores out there. We have one senior on this team, Devon Bowwinkle.
Absolutely.
He was unable to even attempt a shot yesterday.
Now,
and that's no credit to him. I mean, I'm not criticizing him. He's a great three-point shooter. We have to find a way to get him the ball, but he didn't even attempt a shot. I knew that was going to be a tough one. That little Texas San Antonio team started 4 seniors and a junior. And
they were good last year. I mean, they gave us trouble last year. They're really
4 seniors and a junior.
And
that's
the recipe
they had this one circled. For getting beat.
They had this one circled on their calendars as their chance. The thing is about the basketball team, and I watched the game yesterday. There was a thing, it's like the parallel I draw to it is who believed in this football team before the season started. Who believed in this football team maybe before even last season started, or a couple seasons ago, like you were talking about that Western Michigan game. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people that wrote us off and said, this is terrible. But, listen, Hawk fans out there, we have a chance. You have a chance to get on board something special here, okay? You've got a chance to, because it's like, let's say they do have a great season, okay? How much more satisfying would that be for you at home if you can honestly say to yourself, you know what, I believe in this team and supported them since day one.
That's right. And even if that's not this season, that might be next season or
the
next
same
season.
guys, though. The same guys.
We are made up almost entirely of freshmen and sophomores, and we have a good class coming in next year. They're Licklider types of players, and I think that it's going to take time. But he is putting pieces together, and I tell you, I'll throw one name out there, though, that deserves recognition after yesterday, and that was Eric May, kid from Dubuque-Wahlert, played an outstanding game, very impressive.
One to watch.
A true freshman in his first game, at Iowa, and he was all over the floor, brought tremendous energy. So Eric May, good start.
Awesome. Well, we got Minnesota Saturday. John,
please win.
Offensive line, I think we'll win, and the D, just keep doing what you're doing, D. It's going to be interesting for me to see. I'm really looking forward to this game to see what Vandenberg does.
Me too.
I'm actually looking forward to see what we're going to do.
It's excited. My first thought that I had was, how am I going to get through this week? Because the second that Ohio State game ended, I was ready for Minnesota. I mean, I'm excited about Vandenberg. Keep it going. Like I said, just as easily as he had his great game, it's only going to be his second start. He could, he's still susceptible to mistakes. I don't want to act like it's just, but I tell you what, I'm excited about him. If we win this game, we could be playing in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. That game is on January 4th.
Right.
It's the only game on television that night.
Yep.
The whole nation will be watching.
Go Hawks. See the credits are going, and so everybody have a good time. We'll see you next week. Have a good week. We'll see you next week here on War.
Hey everybody, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.